Okay, we are looking at the first question or the first skill, which is finding the resultant vector. Basically what this is asking you to do is to figure out two things. So if it says a ferry heads east across a river, so keeping in mind north, east, south, and west. Okay, so our compass rose. If a ferry heads east across a river, traveling 20 miles per hour, so it's going that way, 20 miles per hour, in still water. The river flows south at 15 miles per hour. So it's trying to go this way, but the river is flowing this way at 15 miles an hour, okay? In what direction will the ferry actually travel? How fast will it travel? So first question is, in what direction will the ferry actually travel? Well, if it's trying, if this is your, let's call it a boat. I know it looks like a smile, but if your ferry is traveling this direction, but this is the way that the river goes, it's not gonna go all the way east. It's gonna head somewhere in between. So what's between east and south? Southeast. So the first question, in what direction will the ferry actually travel? It travels southeast. Okay, so that's the first thing you determine. You want to figure out which way things are going. So you want to draw the direction that something is trying to head, but also explain for yourself, show yourself which direction the body of water or the air is heading that will pull your vehicle, whatever it is, a different direction. So that's the first thing that you do, okay? The second question is, how fast will it travel, okay? So it's going 20 miles per hour this direction, and it's being pulled 15 miles per hour this direction. So how do we figure out how fast it will travel? We're going to use a very wonderful friend of ours, the Pythagorean theorem, to help us figure this out. Now you might be thinking, well, we don't really have two sides of a right triangle, but if we imagine this like a rectangle, okay, because we have right corners here, then we remember that rectangles, the opposite sides would be equal to each other. So we're looking at this like two sides of a right triangle, and we're trying to find the hypotenuse of it. So if we have a right triangle and we're trying to find the hypotenuse, we use the Pythagorean theorem. So at this point, you would want to look at the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared, and substitute in the information you have. So the important thing to remember is that this southeast direction, that's the hypotenuse of your triangle. So when you write out a squared plus b squared equals c squared, you want to make sure that x is set up in the c squared position. So I'm going to erase this information now that we have that all figured out. And we're going to look at how we fill this in. So we're trying to find what c squared will equal. So I'm going to substitute x in. And however you substitute the two legs in, you would do that. So I would simplify 15 squared and 20 squared. 15 squared is 225. This is 400 equals x squared. Check my work every time. Okay, so I will have 625 equals x squared. To find x, I have to find the square root of both. So the square root of 625 is 25. Okay, so for the first thing, we have to draw a diagram showing how things are moving, both your vehicle and whatever that vehicle is moving in. And then you have to find the split between whatever that diagonal is. After you finish doing that, the next thing that you would do is you would look to find the measure of the hypotenuse using the Pythagorean theorem.